How do we know that he was flipping the finger?
Yeah.
No, giving the finger to like his sideline to Pete Carroll. How do we know it wasn't the fans booing
Well, because the Arizona Cardinals sideline was on his left.
No, the fans. The fans. I'm not talking about the sideline. Maybe the fans were happy he got hurt.
What I'm saying is that why would you look directly across from the field and point the finger there as opposed to the fans?
It looked like it was going toward the bench.
It looked like it was going to the bench.
So the point is, no one likes that. Kids are watching, all that. But here's the truth. That was the most effective PR, actually, for the players' union that could have come out of this. Because that has as soon as everyone said that, I saw that, that's going to be a topic on the show tomorrow. We're going to talk about that high up in the show tomorrow. Maybe the A block, which is what's happening right now. And that is drawing attention because of the symmetry of the situation to this very thing. LaDainian Tomlinson. Le'Veon Bell is going to get paid because he's not hurt. And Earl Thomas just cost himself millions because he is.
Stop right there.
That's why he's upset.
Right there. You don't know that Le'Veon Bell's not going to get hurt. He has to come back in order to be eligible for free agency.
But okay, let me rephrase. He's not hurt right now.
Yes.
And his exposure to injury is limited compared to what it would have been.
He cannot get his money until he returns and goes into the offseason. So it's
we know he's going to play 6 games this year. We know he's going to play 6 games.
No, we hope. He might come back and get hurt in the first game.
That's right. That's right.
The whole thing just pissed me off, to be honest with you. It really did. I mean, just to sit there and see a guy like Earl Thomas. We always talk about if guys do they warrant deals like that? Mm-hmm. Do they warrant upgrades in their contract? Because we constantly see the opposite when it comes to the team. If your play falls off slightly, guess what? You're out of there. There's no question about that. But how many times do we often see a guy like Earl Thomas who, I mean, this dude didn't even play in the preseason. This dude didn't even play in the preseason, come back and was the best player on the team. I mean, this dude pretty much showed you that I don't even need practice. I don't need to practice in order to be the best, one of the best safeties in the National Football League.
In his prime.
And the team doesn't reward that when you've outplayed your contract. Clearly, I think from a player's perspective, that's the thing that drives me nuts is that when a player is clearly better than his contract, does he get rewarded? No. But when he's falling off, you're the first one out the door. And then the fans come in and pile on and say, "Oh, well, you signed the contract," and it's just not a two-way go here. And that's the thing that just frustrates me about this whole situation.
Let me make folks very, very uncomfortable with what I'm about to say, and let me preface my comments by saying I don't give a damn what anybody thinks. Here's the reality: when they lost that Super Bowl, as I've talked about on many occasions, you had a team that was fractured psychologically at that moment. When Darrell Bevell and Pete Carroll elected to have Russell Wilson throw that football over the middle instead of give that ball to beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, it was never the same. Beast mode would end up going out the door, and obviously the team was somewhat fragmented. You started seeing people chirping at Pete Carroll the following season in very demonstrative and public ways. All of those things started coming into the fray. Because what we're talking about here is not just a guy that is better than his contract or that deserved his money. What we're talking about is a league, in the National Football League, that is selective with who they want to promote, who they want to push forward, who they want to make sure receives the shine. That was the big, I'm telling you what I was told. That was the biggest problem that they had. It wasn't that it was a god-awful football play. It was the fact that it was clear to a lot of folks in that locker room they wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero. They thought they had the game. They at the half-yard line. They're about to close New England out in the Super Bowl. They wanted Russell Wilson. They had a particular person they wanted to be the hero.
That was their perception, the defense's perception.
Correct. That's what they felt. And so all I'm saying to you is that when you have that going on, where does Earl Thomas play? Ain't no tight end. Ain't no quarterback, ain't no running back.
No.
He's on the defensive side of the ball.
That may not be true, but it's the perception of the defensive player.
But what I'm trying to say is that he was one of the guys that's on that team, on the defensive side of the ball. So you have to understand they have these kind of feelings about the organization. They have this kind of trepidation. They have these kind of question marks. And make no mistake about it, when you fail to get your money, but you watch them take care of the people they want to take care of, that elevates your level of unappreciation that you may feel.
Look, I'm not denying that, and that is real. Like, even if that's not the reason they didn't give the ball to Marshawn Lynch, which they should have, obviously. If that becomes the perception of players on the team, that can become the reality because they start to have hard feelings about it, and I think there's absolutely something to that. That is the easy story because it fits the facts and it's true. Like, the players are expressing this, obviously. But then there's also the X's and O's. Number one, quarterbacks are overpaid by and large. They're overpaid compared to other positions in a hard cap league. And once you pay the quarterback, you don't have the same money for other guys. Number two, defenses don't last that long. The nature of the business, and the Seattle Seahawks defense was in decline, though they were still good, and they got rid of guys, so the defensive players had hard feelings about that. And number three, there are X's and O's things on that team, like they traded Max Unger for Jimmy Graham. The offensive line falls apart. They draft, what's his name, Ifedi, right, who's not good in the first round, not high up in the first round pick on an offensive lineman, and he's terrible. It's like the Giants with Flowers. There are the X's and O's stuff, too, that are affecting this team.
Here's the deal. In a league where they've basically neutered the defense, as far as the rules are concerned, to slant it towards the offense, you got a guy in Earl Thomas. Think of the impact. Think of the impact that Earl Thomas has had for the Seattle Seahawks in the first quarter of the league year of the season. The fact that this guy has made all these different plays, but again, I go back to still cannot get his money, and then go out there and for this to happen to him. I'm telling you, this is going to have a trickle-down effect. There's going to be a lot of other guys around the National Football League who's going to look at this situation, and they're going to say, you know what? I'm not going through that.
Yeah, because they have two examples. They can look at Le'Veon Bell, and then they can look at what happened to Earl Thomas.